It's certainly one of my favourite stories, and I believe it was one of Father's favourites too. It's called Thomas Comes to Breakfast. Thomas the Tank Engine has worked his branch line for many years. You know just where to stop, Thomas, laughed his driver. You could almost manage without me. Thomas had become conceited. He didn't realise his driver was joking. Driver says I don't need him now, he told the others. Don't be so daft, snorted Percy. I'd never go without my driver, said Toby earnestly. I'd be frightened. Pooh, boasted Thomas, I'm not scared. You never dare. I would then, you'll see.
Thomas and his railway friends have been riding the rails for 70 years. Children all over the world have grown up fascinated by the tales and adventures of this cheeky little tank engine and have cherished the strong messages of friendship, teamwork, and what it means to be a really useful engine.
Look, Edward, look! I'm blue, just like you!
You're also number one.
Does that mean I'm the best?
Raise your hand if you're the biggest Thomas fan.
You get it? You're a bigger Thomas fan than us?
He had 6 wheels, a large stumpy funnel, a dome, a cab, and then the classic eyes rolling around. I can never get enough of that.
Thomas' face is funny. That's silly.
Everybody wants to look at the engines, right? It's fun, it's exciting, it's fast moving.
When Jason watches Thomas and Friends, he is in their world. He talks to the trains and he creates stories.
I came from a generation of producers who believed that kids' television had the potential to make the world a better place. It's just an incredible feeling when you actually see it work.
I feel like I'm actually on a real life train.
There's something about trains that people still love. They've got a character all of their own.
My favorite character is Montague, the Ducks. He's really funny when he talks.
I like Percy. He's cute. I like Frankie. He lifts crates up. He can't move because he doesn't have any wheels.
Which one's your favorite train?
That's all of them. Oh, too heavy.
Too heavy? I think you can get more.
I like Birdie. You're gay.
I've always loved Liza Gordon, mainly because he ends up shooting his mouth off and then coming to mischief later on.
Toad and Oliver are the awesomest. Mr. Oliver, can we leave now? Yes, Toad, we can.
Toby's my favourite, and Father always used to claim his engines were a family, and in a family you don't have favourites.
My favourite character is Thomas, because he goofs around.
Better luck next time, Bertie!
The original Railway series stories were written and published in 1945 by the Reverend W. Awdry.
My name's Christopher Awdry. I'm the son of the creator of Thomas the Tank Engine. My father created the first stories for me when I was ill in bed with measles at the age of 2.5. He then made me a small model engine, and I asked for stories about my engine. He said, okay, yeah, I can make up stories about your engine, but first it has to have a name. Why don't we call it Thomas the Tank Engine? In early 1943, the war was on and nothing much was happening in the way of children's books at all. My mother went out to buy books for me, couldn't find anything, and came home and said to Father, you ought to get those railway stories published. He hawked them around for a while, and finally found a publisher who said, okay, I'll take them on. And indeed it came out in 1945. It sold 20,000 in the first 6 months. And the rest, as I say, is history.
The very first television show, which was produced by Brett Allcroft, was a live action show, and that was 1984 that first came out, and that was based on Brit interviewing the Reverend Awdry and being so enthralled by his stories that she thought, I've got to make a TV show for kids about this railway.
Thomas is a tank engine who lives at a big station on the island of Sodor. He's a cheeky little engine with 6 small wheels, a short stumpy funnel, a short stumpy boiler and a short stumpy dome.
He woke again in daylight. Percy and Toby were still asleep. Silly stick in the mud, he chuckled. I'll show him. Driver hasn't come yet, so here goes. Thomas thought he was being clever, but really he was only moving because a careless cleaner had meddled with his controls. He tried to wheesh, but he couldn't. He tried to stop, but he couldn't. Thomas's wheels left the rails and crunched the tarmac. Horrors! He exclaimed and shut his eyes. He didn't dare look at what was coming next.
Thomas the Tank Engine soon found his way into the hearts of thousands of British children, and it wasn't long before the stories of a little railway travelled far and wide.
My first introduction to Thomas, I was on an elevator at WNET, which is the local PBS station. And the head of the station had just come back from England. And he handed me a cassette, and he said, take a look at it and see if we can do anything with it. And when I put it in the VCR, it was an early cut of Thomas the Tank Engine. And so that was the first time, I think, probably anyone in the United States had ever actually seen Thomas. I showed it to my wife, then I took it to a preschool, and I showed it to some kids there. And I could see how much they loved it. I realized it was something really special. It was a huge show in the United States. Bigger, really, in its day than any other kid show that's on right now.
Today, Thomas and Friends is made with computers rather than a live-action model railway. This means that the stories and adventures can have more scope and become even bigger.
So we're currently working on season 19 of Thomas and Friends. From series 17 was where sort of Andrew Brenner and I then started really working together, where we were taking that CG story but trying to bring back some of the classic live action. We spend a lot of time on the phone, laughing, talking about story ideas, and we're kind of like the crew in the engine. He's the fireman sort of fueling the sort of firebox with lots of story ideas, and then I'm the driver taking that idea from the very start to the very end of the journey. Andrew and I will start talking, he'll start filling that blank sheet. We talk about the script, it then sort of evolves to sort of design of new characters, introduction of new characters. It's that teamwork that really goes to make the show such a great show.
Each year, a new series and movie are created. But this year is an extra special year for Thomas and his friends.
The big celebration for 2015 is the 70th anniversary of Thomas and Friends. From 1945, when the first book was published, to now, Thomas has sort of grown stronger and stronger, and we're celebrating those 70 years, and hopefully we'll be celebrating even more years to come. And this year, with the celebration, we've got a film called Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure.
I came across these images of this guy in a little sailboat that had been set up to be on rails. And I thought, this little character of a sailboat on wheels would be such a nice way of having the sea and the railway come together. From those images, I started to find a way into this story that became the Legend of the Lost Treasure.
Hit Entertainment works with the innovative animation team at Arc Studios in Toronto to create everything that you see on screen, bringing all the characters and stories to life.
Well, animation is quite a long, involved process.
On a special, I believe it's about 60 people. On both special and episodes, it can be more than 100.
We start with a script. It's the first chance you get to visualize the story. Design departments, working on the new characters, the new locations. Characters are brought to life by the animators.
When you see the whole puzzle done, it's incredible. People should understand how much effort and work stands behind the production.
Every day you're looking at someone else's contribution. It's just very humbling seeing how passionate people feel about their work.
When it comes to Skiff, we knew it's a small, tiny sailboat. Quite optimistic, quite shaky, but brave. So we knew his character and attitude. You can see that we dug up some pictures of this little sailboat. When we know about the boat itself, then it comes the character. Usually we start with sketching a few faces, different proportions, different eyes, sizes, and noses and stuff, so we can come up with the final face. And then when you go downstairs, we have a screening room when everything is lit and rendered, and it's always a miracle. It's the best moment when you you just sketch that thing, and now it's all alive and in color and light, and it's talking.
I'm going as fast as a real engine now! Not yet, you're not, Skip.
We're celebrating the 70th anniversary with a great new film called Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure. And we thought, what better way to do that than to have a great song at the end of the film that really celebrates friendship. So we decided to put on a competition to find the best school choir to come in and sing that song for us. And we've been working closely with the National Schools Partnership and the composer Robert Hartshorn to find that winning entry.
We also went to Prague to record with the Prague Philharmonic Orchestra. Ultimately, it's just another epic film for Thomas.
There's no such thing as writing music for children. Children can accept a really wide range of music, and so there is only good music. The chance to actually record with an orchestra is great. The actual quality and power of the sound you get makes a huge difference.
The station master's family were having breakfast. There was a crash. The house rocked. Broken glass tinkled. Plaster peppered their plates. Thomas had collected a bush on his travels. He peered anxiously into the room through its leaves. The station master grimly strode out and shut off steam. His wife picked up her plate. "You miserable engine," she scolded. "Just look what you've done to our breakfast. Now I shall have to cook some more." She banged the door. More plaster fell. This time it fell on Thomas.
I had a model railway, and I used to play with that for ages. When I first saw Thomas on television, to me, that was the best model railway ever. And it was so beautifully set up. And I think that interest in model worlds and model railways is something that does persist.
As well as watching Thomas, kids can also play with Thomas and his friends, reliving the imaginative adventures they've seen on the screen. Just like the animation, a lot of work goes into designing and building the Thomas products before they make it into stores.
Fisher-Price is located in New York City, and this is where we handle all of the Thomas toy products.
All the designers here, we know a lot about the brand. We're constantly watching episodes and reading scripts. We wouldn't really seem like tourists on the island of Sodor.
I work here as a product designer for Thomas die-cast products. So I design all of the play sets and the die-cast engines. We pretty much make magic with toys. We start with nothing, and we do drawings, and we make models, and we turn those into real physical toys that kids can have tons of fun with. There's a ton of work that has to be done, and it spans across the globe, all the way from drawing initial ideas and holding brainstorms to actually planning out the assembly line to make these toys. So this is our final version of Samson in our die-cast line. And before we get to the final product, we have to go through a series of prototypes. The one just before this is an engineering prototype, and you can see it has some funny colors on it. But we're just testing out to make sure that all the parts fit properly. Before this, we have a prototype stage, and this isn't made of the real material, but this is just so we can do our review and make sure that Samson looks like Samson. Before that, our models are actually done in the computer, and we model the character and look at it just on computer screen for a digital review.
I have 9 nieces and nephews, and they're all so very different. So just hanging out with them, I can get a different idea every time I see them. I think I get most of my inspiration from the kids themselves.
My real introduction was when my little boy was born, and he came home from a party clinging on to a little toy train, which was Thomas. So very much of me working on the show is kind of to please him and his love of Thomas. The fact that so many children around the world love Thomas so much is great.
Thomas and Friends can now be seen in over 120 countries and in 20 different languages.
I want to go places and do things. I want to
see the world. But what does the show mean to fans old and new?
I'm married, guys, and I'm 6 years old. I'm having a birthday party with my twin brother named Drake Kais. On board! I like going on choo-choo trains. My train crashed. Wait, I need some tools over here. Hammer, hammer, hammer. Nene. 今天是中国的金3岁开始玩 Thomas 玩具。我跟我妈妈、爸爸一块玩 Thomas 看电影。我長大後，我想設計 Thomas 嘅玩具。我嘅車係藍色，我件衫都係藍色。佢係第一個嘅，佢咧係醒目嘅。 佢係第一個嘅 number， 佢咧佢係好聰明嘅。
My name is Ashika. I went to school in England just for a year when I was about 8, and that's when I got my first rucksack, which was a Thomas the Tank Engine rucksack. But I think it was the red and the blue that got me interested in it. So then I went and got a book and I was completely obsessed with it from then onwards. I was really popular because I had the red and the blue rucksack. It's probably quite a silly thing to remember, but that's what I remember.
المحطة القادمة هي مدينة دبي للإنترنت.
I am Evelyn Joy S. Jimenez and I'm 10 years old and I was from Philippines and right now I'm living in Dubai, UAE.
We first started with the season 1 and we've been watching it. It's pretty nice. We also try to copy it
In a tree.
Yeah. Like choo choo.
He does it, not me.
My name's Imre, and I live in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. The first time I heard of Thomas and Friends was when I got a DVD for my birthday, and it was the one where James crashes and Thomas has to help. Then I finished the DVD, and then I would go up to my room and just build a layout, and just narrate it. Thomas and Friends just made my life a lot more awesome.
My 私の名前は伊藤仁と言います。私がトーマス・サンドで働き始めたのは6年ほど前。きっかけはやはり子供と接するのがとても大好きで、子供と一緒にさっき乗って楽しかったで、また何回も乗りに来てくれる子供がいることはとても嬉しいことですし、また帰り際に楽しかったって言って笑顔で帰られる子供もいるんですけども、やっぱり帰りたくないって言って泣いてだだをこねて、そういう泣き顔を見るとやっぱ本当に楽しんでくれたのかな、そういう姿を見るのがとても嬉しいですね。
I'm really just starting, breaking away a little time to work on this from all of my other projects. Oh, I saw Thomas the Tank Engine at a train show in Guadalajara. I always thought that locomotives have a personality, and here the personality was made into a face. So I began to think more personally about the models that I built. The kids relate more to the face than anything else, and then they gradually get into the rest of the train. Here's this thing, this is the year of the steam engines, and they were really loud, chugging along, lots of smoke and loud noise and so forth, but later on, they became sort of symbols of movement.
I'm Ryan Hagan, I'm the head administrator of Sodor Forums. Sodor Forums was established in 2002, and since then it's pretty much ballooned into becoming like the biggest mecca for Thomas fans on the internet. There was times as a 3-year-old I was saying to my parents I want to go to the island of Sodor, I want to go and visit Thomas. I've spent many a wonderful summer and spring walking those track beds, looking around those railways, but the one thing that I will always take and will always be with me is the friends that I've made through it. I don't know what path my life would have took if I hadn't been part of Sodor Forums, because I've met so many amazing people who have become among my closest friends in life.
You're not just a little steam tram, Toby. There's nothing you can't do.
I've already told him that.
Welcome to the making of Thomas the Tank at Let Them Eat Cake. Come through. 2 weeks ago, I had a phone call and asked whether I'd like to make Thomas the Tank. 3.3 metres by 1.5 by 1.2 metres, and doing something on that scale, huge. I don't think people understand how big this cake is really going to be. We started with some plans first, and then we got them all made to scale, and then from there we went to ordering all the stuff in the icing, the butter, the sugar, the flour, the trays, how much baking time we were going to need, all of these things. We've already had 40 boxes of eggs come in, and I'm getting another 30 boxes of eggs just to make sure that we've got enough cake. Bags of flour, cocoa powder, there's just so much.
All aboard! I'll get you there on time.
There is a huge train culture, and I think any fan of Thomas and Friends, I would suggest if you haven't been to a real steam railway, go, because it's just fascinating.
We have celebrated Thomas with a Day Out with Thomas event for the past 13 years. And it's an awesome experience because not only do the kids get to ride behind the real Thomas, but they also get to see Thomas talking.
The Day Out with Thomas event is very special. It's an opportunity to see multi-generational families come. And that's important for the future of railroading. When kids come, Thomas is really the first exposure a lot of them have with trains, and that passion that they have grows with them.
It's been a great experience for us, and it also continues to make that connection with Thomas so powerful. Thomas is the rock star for preschoolers. When you see a group of preschoolers screaming like it's the Beatles, that's really special.
When we see families, we see little ones, we see moms, we see dads, as well as grandparents, and they all have some experience with Thomas and with real locomotives. So it's extremely important that we keep the young people involved, and Thomas is an excellent way to introduce them to trains that will carry with them for the rest of their lives.
Thomas felt depressed. The plaster was tickly. He wanted to sneeze, but he didn't dare in case the house fell on him. At last the workmen propped up the house, and Donald and Douglas, puffing hard, managed to haul Thomas back to the yard. He looked comic. "You're a very naughty engine." "I know, sir. I'm sorry, sir." Thomas's voice was muffled behind his bush. "You must go to the works and have your front end mended. It'll be a long job." Yes, sir," faltered Thomas. "Meanwhile, a diesel rail car will do your work." A diesel, sir?" "Yes, Thomas. Diesels always stay in their sheds until they're wanted. Diesels never gallivant off to breakfast in station masters' houses." And the fat controller turned on his heel and sternly walked away.
Thomas and Friends is loved and cherished by generations of people from all around the world. And even after 70 years, Thomas still continues to delight his fans and is travelling on into the future at full steam.
I think it's important that as Thomas continues, we need to remember where he came from and keep him close to that. There was a certain spirit in the Reverend Awdry stories, which I feel is what's made Thomas very strong.
Thomas and Friends has been around for 70 years, but they didn't just take one thing and do it for 70 years. They're constantly evolving. It started as books, and then it was models that they turned into a TV show, and now we're doing the 3D animation. And we're not going to stop there. Thomas is going to continue to evolve.
When you really look at what has changed, it's not a lot. I mean, stylistically, we've changed things a little bit, but Thomas is always going to go on adventures. And I think as long as he's always speaking the language of the current kids, he'll continue to have appeal.
I would also say the main overarching moral, which transcends the books, the TV series, is strive to do your best. I mean, you might not get there right away, but If you work hard, and if you always do your best and you're honourable, you will get there in the end.
To learn and grow. Do another mistake, learn and grow again.
Don't worry, Toby. Try again. You can do it.
It helps you, like, take care of your friends, and it helps you be nice. Oh, not too tight.
And another lesson I really like is there is always a way. You could always find the way in anything.
Teamwork is definitely part of it, you know, not being too boastful.
It's old-fashioned values that just rely on family.
Thomas is a nice train, that's why I love him.
Everybody can make a contribution to make things better or to do something, and I think in Thomas that's represented in the words being really useful, but it just means being helpful. And I think very related to it and very important is an understanding of friendship and relationships. You have a big cast of characters, and all of those characters have times where it's difficult for them to relate to each other, and they need to help each other and work through those things. And I feel like that's always been part of the show.
I don't think that Thomas is going to stop soon. I think series 19, I think we'll be going way past 25. I hope, because I love it and I carry on for as long as they need me.
Full steam ahead!
Full steam ahead, sir!
We make a team together. 1, 2, 3. We go full steam together. Him, you, me. Best of friends forever will be. Yeah, yeah. Better together. We need our friends nearby us every day, so they can help and guide us every way. And we know there's a place they will stay. Yeah, yeah. Forever beside us. Well, there's nothing that I couldn't do when I'm steaming along next to you.
Hello, Thomas. Hey, Skip. Hey, look, I've got my own line now, just like you.
We roll along together.
1, 2,